Hey, Will Brink here, www.brinkzone.com, and today I'm going to talk about home gyms versus commercial gyms. Question I get a lot is, what do you think about home gyms? And obviously, I'm not against home gyms. I don't see anybody could be against a home gym, but there are a number of factors people really have to consider before they get themselves into a home gym, and whether it's really worth their time and their effort and their money. First thing about home gyms is you need to match the home gym to your goals. A lot of people will buy something, their goal is to gain muscle mass, and then they'll buy an exercise ball, or, as an extreme example. But the point being, you have to think of what are your specific goals. For example, my home gym is a very simple setup of a TRX suspension trainer, a couple of sandbags, I have a treadmill, a couple of dumbbells. It's a very simple setup, and it's fine for general, like GPP, conditioning, metabolic work, endurance. I can get a really good workout in there, but it's not a setup if my specific goal for this home gym was to, let's say, gain muscle mass, or get increase absolute strength in the low RM, 1 RM areas. For that, you're going to need progressive resistance in the form of barbells, or something at least that allows you to use a heavy enough load to get the response you're trying to get. So for me, it's a perfectly good setup, and for me, it's supplemental setup to the commercial gym, which we'll get to in a minute. It's an excellent setup. I recommend that setup to anybody. It takes up a minimal amount of room. You can do a lot of exercises, and not anything real negative to be said about a basic TRX, a couple of sandbags, and I actually have a pretty decent commercial grade treadmill, but that's mostly, again, because I'm in the Northeast and there are some days where the weather won't permit you to get out, of course work or what have you, and so, but that's not something you absolutely have to have. So let's discuss a decent home gym. Again, people get themselves wrapped up in what they think, like a multi-gym setup. They think they've got to spend a ton of money on fancy machines that they've seen, that really aren't, again, very useful for the money they spent, the space they take up. Probably the best home gym you can get yourself is a power cage, a flat bench, and an Olympic barbell with a collection of weight, and that setup alone will allow you to do almost an infinite number of exercises. Do it in safety because you're in the cage. You can, of course, if your goal is more towards bodybuilding or powerlifting, you can do all that in that particular setup. Now, a good cage is not cheap. They're modestly expensive, especially if we're talking about a good quality cage here, not some cheap thing that doesn't hold a lot of weight and is going to fall apart on you. But again, if you look at the cost of a decent cage and a flat bench and an Olympic barbell compared to any multi-gym setup, or even the footprint that it takes up, it's still a really good bang for the buck. And from that, you can build a very solid home gym. But again, I think people don't tend to put money best spent into areas they could. They buy a lot of frivolous stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense, has limited uses. Next point I'd like to make is motivation. One of the issues that, big issues I have with home gyms for a lot of people is, when I used to go to people's homes, when I owned a private training business, 95% of those people had a home gym, and 95% of those home gyms had clothing hanging on them and towels, and because they made great towel racks, they didn't use them. So when you have the phone, you've got the telephone, you've got the television, you've got the refrigerator, you've got the kids, you've got people coming and going, things need your attention, you get distracted. And the problem with home gyms for a large percentage of people is they have the best of intentions, but they don't end up using the home gyms. And to those people, I say they need to get in the car and go to a commercial gym and get out of the house for an hour or so to get away from those distractions. If you're one of those people, you need to, as they say, know thyself. If you are someone who is motivated and will use your home gym, by all means, great, do it. But you really need to know yourself and know whether or not that's really realistic to you. Because again, this gets expensive, and you invest all this money, and a few months later, it's got towels and clothes hanging off of it, and it's gathering dust and sitting in the corner. and I see that more often than not by a long shot. Second to that, again, a good home gym setup can start to get fairly expensive. And again, some people take a lot of pride in their home gyms, and they've got really nice home gym setups. And again, that's great. They're motivated. They use it. I think that's a plus. But again, they really are the minority. Most people, again, find they often buy things that really aren't applicable to their goals. They buy some balls and a band and some contraption they saw on TV, and it doesn't get them the results they want, and they're back to square one. So remember, are you motivated? Do you really have the finances and stuff to put into the gym that matches your goals that you're trying to obtain? If those answers are no, I really recommend the commercial gym. And that's where I'm going to get to the point of the commercial gym to the home gym. Again, I don't want to dissuade anyone from a home gym setup. They're a plus. But my way of thinking, I can spend $40 a month to go work out on millions of dollars worth of equipment that somebody else has invested in. Or I can, spend thousands or tens of thousands on a home gym that will nowhere replace the commercial gym. Now, again, this depends on your location. If a gym is a long way from you and you're out in the middle of nowhere, you just don't like being around other people. There's a number of reasons of why the home gym fits you, but I do again feel for the majority of people. Gold's Gym runs me $42 a month, and it's basically a few miles down the street, and I'm working out on millions of dollars worth of stuff. And for me, again, I like to get away from the phone and the computer and the television and people asking for my attention. It's an important part of my day. And what I have, I think the best balance is I have a supplemental home gym, as I mentioned, that if I need to get a quick workout in, I can, and that's great. But I don't really want to depend on as my only source of exercise. So I think for most people, going to a commercial gym with maybe a supplemental gym at home, a small supplemental gym consisting of, again, maybe a TRX trainer, a small set of dumbbells, a couple of sandbags, you can get an excellent workout. But given my druthers, if someone asks me, unless they meet that criteria of someone who really will benefit from a home gym, I highly recommend the commercial gym for the reasons stated. So I hope that gives you some insight before you go spend a bunch of money one way or the other. And if this helps, hit the likes and the Twitters, and I'll see you all on the Brink Zone.
Now, for more information on this topic, head on over to www.brinkzone.com, where you'll find my blog, more videos, free reports on fat loss, muscle building supplementation, fitness, health, and longevity, as well as a ton of articles in my free weekly fitness newsletter. And I'll see you all on the Brink Zone.